Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know. On today's show, we have a doozy of a show today. There is so much to talk about. I forgot how much happened in this week, and when I was running through the news, I was like, I cannot believe all of this has happened in this particular week. It's crazy. So much stuff has came out. We know a lot more about the direction of the team. So if you like that, then please stick around, because this is going to be one heck of a show. Lots of stuff to talk about. We'll start with the peanuts. In case you didn't know, the Dolphins obviously signed Dwayne Allen. I think we discussed that last week, so we're not going to talk about it. The Denver Broncos signed Juwan James, in case you're wondering where Juwan went in free agency. Trey Flowers ended up choosing the Detroit Lions over the Dolphins, if the Dolphins were even interested. We still don't know if that was true or not. Probably not. We'll start with this too. I guess this is considered more surface level, I guess, stuff. It's not really, I guess it was a story, but not really. Something we can kind of gloss over really quickly. Teddy Bridgewater, if you didn't know, did visit with the Dolphins, was interested in the job. This comes from Pro Football Rumors. The Dolphins announced that their visit with free agent quarterback Teddy Bridgewater has concluded. This was before he signed the deal with New Orleans. He ended up staying with New Orleans as the backup to Drew Brees, picking the Saints over the Dolphins. Apparently, he turned down a $10 million deal that was worth 2 years, $10 million, offer from Miami. I do not remember what he signed in New Orleans. I can't tell you if he signed for more money or not. It would have been interesting, my thoughts on this, to see what Teddy could have done in Miami. He's a solid quarterback. He's only 26 years old. He was ascending. One of the last games that he played, I think it was the last game he played, at least in Minnesota. He drove the team down. It was a playoff game. Drove the team down. Should have won the game. Should have advanced to the playoffs. He was getting better and better. And I feel like he's got super underrated. There's elements about Teddy Bridgewater that are really, really underrated. I think the worst thing about him is he kind of struggles to push the ball down the field. That's the only real issue that I have with him. But he has underrated pocket presence. He's really accurate with the football. He's got, like I just said, he's got really good pocket presence. But he has just, in general, he's a really good football player. He was, recruited to play receiver in college. He actually, he's just got great football instincts. He makes people miss in the pocket, outside of the pocket when he chooses to scramble. He's got super underrated instincts as well. So it would have been interesting, but obviously wasn't meant to be. So, yeah. As for people that the Dolphins have signed, we got some other news coming up that we're really going to get into, but I just wanted to get all that stuff out of the way because I feel like that's just, stuff that really kind of came and went. Really shouldn't stick too much, talk about it too much. This one's it's a bit of a peanut signing. The Dolphins signed tight end Clive Walford. This comes from Pro Football Rumors. The Dolphins have signed tight end Clive Walford. He played with the Jets. Yeah, the Jets, Colts, Raiders. His best years were 2 years with Oakland, where he amassed 688 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. He was a former third-round pick. You guys probably know this already. He obviously played at the University of Miami. Really talented. He was picked in the 3rd round as a tight end, which is you're a talented player when you're picked that high, especially at that position. He just really never panned out. He's super athletic. He's a big dude. He's got pretty good hands. He just wasn't very consistent. I haven't watched a lot of Clive Walford. I've seen some stuff, obviously in the University of Miami, but I'm talking about in the NFL. I don't know. Obviously he hasn't worked out. I don't know what the particular reasons for that is, whatever it is. I couldn't really put my finger on it. But he has shown flashes in the NFL. He's had some circus catches. He is somewhat of a deep threat when he was with Oakland. So it's going to be interesting to see. He has all the physical gifts that you want in a tight end. He had obviously very productive in college. Just wasn't very consistent in the National Football League for whatever reason. So we'll see if he pans out here. The Dolphins have signed so many tight ends. It really does make you wonder what. Obviously, when Brian first got here and the coaching, the new coaching staff first got here, they said they wanted to evaluate the roster. And obviously, whatever they've evaluated with the tight ends, they weren't very happy with. Because this was obviously this is a position where they've loaded up on competition. So it's gonna be interesting to see who stays and who goes. With some of these tight ends, it's gonna be really, really interesting. As for another signing, that's a little bit, not a very big deal. The former New England Patriots quarterback Eric Rowe plans to sign a 1-year contract. This comes from Pro Football Rumors, which he obviously signed. Eric Rowe signs a 1-year deal that'll be worth $4 million. He's 26 years old. He's had 10 tackles, 1 forced fumble. He started a dozen games of the 29 games he played in New England. He only had 1 interception. He played at Utah. He was drafted in 2015. He was drafted 47th overall. This is some of the stuff in case you don't know about Eric Rowe. In terms of my opinion on the whole situation, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do with us, obviously. I feel like, to be honest with you, he's a good number 2. He's a solid number 2. When you look at his play in New England, it's a little up and down, but he's obviously the coaching staff very familiar with him. All that the Patriots do is press man. Rarely do they ever, mix that up, so he fits the scheme to a T. It's gonna be interesting to see what he could do. He's still a very young player. A lot of room for development. We needed to have someone. Really, the competition for the number 2 spot is not very deep. We still don't know where Minkah Fitzpatrick's gonna play in the secondary. If Brian's like, you're playing corner, then especially if it's outside corner, then nobody's gonna beat Minkah out for that job. He might end up being the best cornerback on the team, and I'm not even joking about that. Minkah's coverage skills and his technique is better than any DB on the team. It's not even close. His knowledge of the game, he's always in the right spot. He always does the right thing. Xavier's a very, 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 very good player, but if I had to bet money who would be the best corner over like a 10-year career, I would say Minkah. I think he just has better coverage ability, in my opinion. So we still don't know who is who in the secondary. I feel like obviously we all know this, that Bobby McCain's a very good slot corner. So we don't need Minkah to do that Tyrann Mathieu thing where Tyrann Mathieu early on in his career basically played, I think 85 to 90% of his snaps were in the slot corner. A lot of people compare Minkah to him. They're similar in their versatility, but that's about it. So it's going to be interesting to see how the secondary shakes up. If I was making the decisions, I probably would keep Minkah at free safety, put Xavier on the outside, either try to address that in the draft with maybe I go pick Greedy Williams if there's not a suitable D lineman there, who I think is going to be a very good player, or I maybe in the later rounds try to address that position and then keep Bobby in the inside if it were me. Still don't know how TJ McDonald's still on the roster. I know the contract and everything like that, but dude, maybe we try to convert him to a linebacker. I don't know, but he's basically in no man's land in my opinion. I don't know what to do with him. Because he's a terrible free safety. So interesting signing there. It could address a position of need. Like I said, he's very familiar with the scheme. He's good at it. He has a lot of experience in playing that style of ball, especially even in college. So we'll see what he can do. But he was pretty inconsistent. It's hard to see what news story we'll do next. I guess we'll do this one. This one just makes me mad. Latest on Dolphins defensive end Robert Quinn. If you don't know, and I'm assuming some of you guys know of all the news that happened this week, out of all the people that have left the organization, this man is still on the team. It blows my mind. So this is the latest that we have, I guess. This is of this news story was of March 14th. So was it 5 days ago or 3 days ago, something like that. Robert Quinn. So this comes from Pro Football Rumors. Robert Quinn was thought to be a surefire candidate for release heading into the offseason, but the veteran defensive end remains with the Dolphins. According to Anna Beasley of the Miami Herald, the Dolphins have held trade talks regarding Quinn, and they might still have every intention of dealing him. So, I guess we're still having trade talks, according to Anna Beasley of the Miami Herald, which kind of is like, oh, thank God. I was like, are we really planning on dealing with this for another year? Robert Quinn was one of the worst signings we've ever had. Seriously. I guess he was sort of a trade. It was a sign and trade. But it's one of the worst decisions this organization's ever. Like, he was so bad last year. His production in the sack. He had like 5. I can't even remember. He could have had 8 sacks last year. It would have made a difference. He was such a liability in the run game. And to be honest with you, he's not a terrible run defender, at least in the past. But maybe it was the Y9 defense. I don't know. He just wasn't very good. He couldn't set the edge. His effort wasn't there. I mean, if you watched all 16 games, there wasn't a lot of, especially on the defense. The defense was really stupid at times. Obviously, we gave up, if not the most busted coverages in the National Football League, where people were just running free. But some of the effort wasn't there, especially on the defensive line, and especially with people that were paying a lot of money. And Robert Quinn, to me, was the worst when it came to that. It seemed like he wasn't really focused on the game. Down and distance, situational football, stuff like that really just kind of went over his head. His constantly letting quarterbacks, constantly running by the quarterback, giving the quarterback a great opportunity to step up in the pocket to either scramble or have more time to pass the football. I mean, it was just all over the place. He not a very good pass rusher, not very consistent, bad pass rush technique. And he wasn't very good in the running game. Like, he was just not very good. He had a really good preseason, too. And I don't know what happened to Robert Quinn. He weighs like one. He's one of the, our defensive line, obviously we haven't been able to stop the run in years, but a lot of that has to do with how small our defensive ends are. And how wide they line up. I mean, nobody was getting. Robert Quinn ain't pushing anybody around. And once William Hayes went down, I mean, there went all hopes for any kind of run defense that particular season. I'm sure he had 6.5 sacks in 2018. In terms of his Pro Football Rumors ranking, he was the 19th highest graded pass rusher. I'm sure that's. If you watched Robert Quinn play, you know what the heck I'm talking about. He was not very good. Neither was the defense. I mean, statistically, that was the worst defense in the history of the Miami Dolphins. And you don't have some godlike defensive end. That doesn't happen if you have that kind of a pass rush. He was just not very good. Hopefully we can. I don't know. I don't want him on the team anymore. There's so many players on this roster, especially from last year, that I'm just like, I'm done. I don't want to see it anymore. I don't care. I don't care anymore. All of the veteran people that we have signed have just, especially in the Adam Gase era, have been terrible. From Lawrence Timmons to Josh Sitton. I mean, Daniel Kilgore is not looking so hot. Robert Quinn was just god-awful. TJ McDonald. I mean, look at all the decisions we've made over the last few years. Good Lord. They've been pretty bad. William Hayes was the best signing in terms of all the veterans. I might be forgetting someone right now. I don't think I am. I could be forgetting someone. Frank Gore was okay. He's pretty solid. He gave us good production. But other than that, good. Just terrible, man. Just terrible. With all the stuff that's happened this week, that was the one that I was looking forward to. There's another player on this I'm so surprised that is back. And that gets us to the next news story. And I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Dolphins' Devante Parker gets $4.5 million guaranteed. He has signed a 2-year deal worth up to $11 million. 4 of that is guaranteed. Another $3 million in incentives, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. And that comes from NFL.com, that news story. This blows my mind, ladies and gentlemen. It blows my mind that he's still on the team. How many regimes is he going to go through? Seriously. How many, and when I say regimes, not even that, just coaches in general, dude. GMs, coaches, decision makers, we're ride or die at this point. Seriously. I don't know what they're attributing to his failure. I don't know if they're attributing that to the quarterback, the offensive line. I don't know what their excuse is for his lack of production. This, at least Robert Quinn, at least there's a news story out there that obviously was thrown out there and was reported on. Because as a Dolphins fan, I was freaking out the fact that Robert Quinn was still on the roster. At least we have some, like, oh, there's still an opportunity for him to get traded. They're trying to get something done. It looks like they are going to get something done, at least according to the report. This just blows my mind. How he is still here. I mean, I can't go into another offseason. Listen, the last 2 offseasons that I've been doing this show, I've told you guys, listen, he's super talented. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year. We'll see what happens. I've had the most optimistic look on this player than anyone in the Dolphins community. And if you've listened to the show for a long time, you know I'm telling the truth. For me to sit here and say it's time to move on is like an alcoholic admitting he's an alcoholic at this point. And I'm even like, listen, dude, it's time. It blows my mind that he's still here. I can't even give you guys. He's Devante Parker, and he's still here, dude. That's all I have to say about it. He's Devante Parker, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. The most inconsistent football player. I don't think anybody in Dolphins history. I'm really trying to think deep on this one. Shows so much flashes of dominance, literal dominance. I mean, over 100 yards, multiple catches in a game, ridiculous highlight touchdowns, ridiculous catches that Devante has had over his years. The man is the biggest tease of all time. He's only 26 years old. He's still super young. Chad, forgetting his last name right now, super prolific when it comes to coaching receivers. All of the tight end, and the tight ends too, with the red zone work that he does in New England, or that he did in New England. But all the receivers that he's coached and developed over the years, and turned careers around there in New England. I mean, none of them have been as talented as Devante Parker. That's the only optimistic outlook you could have on it, is just say maybe he can get a hold of him and, make something of him. Because he's done it before. I mean, that's why he's our offensive coordinator, is because of his... I mean, he has a really good track record when it comes to turning careers around and developing receivers. So, maybe he's the magic, guy who can help him. I mean, he can't do anything about injuries, so that's going to be real interesting. I don't know. It just blows. If you told me that Devante Parker was still going to be a Dolphin, I really thought he would be a Steeler. I really did. If you thought if you would have told me that he would have still been a Dolphin, I would have. There's no way, dude. There's no way I would have believed you. I'm still in disbelief that he's still on the roster. It blows my mind. Dude. I'm not joking, dude. I'm still like, how? I couldn't believe it, dude. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I still can't believe it. And I still can't believe I'm talking about it right now. So let's just move on. I could sit here and talk about this for an hour. It just makes zero sense. I guess another coaching staff has to see why Devante Parker is doesn't show up for a month. And listen, obviously none of us hope that happens again. And hopefully, hopefully Chad has collected all the Dragon Balls and he wished that he's the greatest receiver coach of all time. And if he can turn around Devante Parker, then he very well might be, for sure. Now, this might be some of the biggest news of the week. Cameron Wake has signed a 3-year deal. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. With the Tennessee Titans, if you didn't know, Cameron Wake has moved on to Tennessee. Speaking of Tennessee and Miami Dolphins, that brings us to the next news story. I don't really have any thoughts on the whole Cameron Wake thing. I mean, yeah, we knew he was gone. I mean, he could have picked. I mean, dude, if I was Cameron Wake, I want to win. I don't care about money at this point. The fact that he went to Tennessee is just like, why, Cameron? You could have went to so many other football teams, and you picked Tennessee. Tennessee, you're the third best team in your division, maybe the fourth now that Nick Foles is there. clearly not chasing rings. Excuse me, I'm burping. All right, this next news story. Speaking of Dolphins and Titans, great segue. I kind of ruined it, though, with my rambling. Dolphins trade Ryan Tannehill to the Tennessee Titans. Now, this blows. We'll talk about it. I'm itching to get into this. I'm itching it. Woo! I'm itching to get into this. This news story comes from Pro Football Rivers. The Titans have a new quarterback on Friday. The Titans acquired Ryan Tannehill in a trade with the Dolphins. Miami will be receiving a 2019 7th-round pick and a 2020 4th-round pick. Meanwhile, the Titans will be getting Tannehill and a 6th-round pick. As a part of the deal, the Titans have also restructured Tannehill's contract for the 2019 season. It's effectively a one-year deal worth $7 million guaranteed. We still take on some dead money. And I think we paid some extra money to get that whatever 4th-round pick, I think. So maybe this is. I'm trying to find some more numbers on that. Tannehill was scheduled to carry a $26 million cap hit in for Miami in 2019, with a roughly even split in dead money and cap savings in the event of a release. I know that we still took on extra dead money for the 4th-round pick, all that other stuff. We didn't save a ton of money. We could have saved more, but we still saved some money in the trade. So, I was going to be very upset if he wasn't let go, and I'm serious. It's time to move on, dude. He's one of the players that it's just time to go. It's time to move on. If Tannehill goes out there and throws 80,000 touchdowns in a year, God bless him. But for us, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. That should be the slogan of the Dolphins off season. It's time to move on from these people that we just keep giving second chances to. It's just time, dude. Rip the Band-Aid off. And we did that with Ryan. I cannot believe we got a 4th-round pick for him, even though it's in the 2020 draft, which is apparently when we're going to get Tua, and we got a whole another news story on that coming up. Hopefully we'll get to the fan Q&A because there's still some stuff we got to talk about. But it's time to rip the band. Like I just said, it's just time to move on. Good luck for Ryan and the rest of his career. He gave us some all-time great Dolphins moments. He delivered a lot of clutch stuff in rivalry games over the years, just basically against the Patriots, really exclusively against the Patriots. But still, he gave us a lot of great moments, and it hit me hard when he tweeted, to the fans and stuff like that. I was like, dang, I cannot believe number 17 is in a Tennessee uniform. It kind of blows my mind. Because I had, again, it's like an alcoholic admitting he's an alcoholic. I can admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about Tannehill. I was the biggest supporter of Ryan's. But after last year, it really was just the nail in the coffin for me. Like, he's just not the answer. And that Buffalo, even before the Bills game, the Jaguars game, I think we were all out at that point, but that really hammered it home. And then the Bills game really hammered it home that, yeah, this isn't the move. So it's nice to... It's just nice to move on, dude. I don't care, and we're going to talk about that here in a second, but obviously we have an answer at Bridgewater quarterback now, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but I didn't even care if we didn't, people were like, oh, they don't even, who's going to get to, dude, we could have had somebody, at McDonald's come in and throw, footballs, for all I care. It was just time to move on. It's time to go in a different direction, and I'm glad listen, think about this for a second. Joe Philbin came in, right? And this was his vision, and Jeff Ireland's, and some of Dennis Hickey's vision was thrown in there too, in an old jobbled mess. Then Stephen Ross goes out and hires Adam Gase, but also one of the bigger reasons that he hired Adam is because Adam was willing to work with Ryan. So he basically inherits the same jumbled mess that Joe Philbin, brought onto this franchise and didn't really change anything, and we're surprised that it had the same outcome. Granted, we still went 10-6 the first year that Adam was here, which is a miracle job. Should have won Coach of the Year. Unfortunately, did not. All the stuff that he had to deal with in that season, and still we went 10-6. It blows my mind. I've said that so many times throughout this podcast, but that's another thing that I cannot believe that we went 10-6 that season. We went on that beautiful 6-game win streak. Matt Moore closed it out, and then the awesome game at Buffalo. Getting off track. My point is, in saying all that, with the whole jumbled mess with Joe Philbin, then Adam Gase inherits it, and we're still surprised that it's the same outcome. We're finally getting out from under all of that garbage. We thought it was over when Joe Philbin was gone, but no, it's still the remnants of the decisions that regime made. We're still hitting us today, and we're finally moving on from it. And maybe I didn't see the light before. I see the light now. Thank God we're moving on, because it's about dang time. And that's why it blows my mind with the whole Devante Parker thing. It's like, I cannot believe it. I don't want to say it again, but you know where I'm going with that. This is another, who cares news story. Kaepernick interested in Dolphins quarterback job. Okay. We're not interested. And it has nothing to do with the politics side. I was not saying that at all. I'm just saying, dude hasn't played in 2 years, and when he did play, he didn't look very good. That's why I'm saying that. Yeah, see, Dolphins took extra dead cap by trading Tannehill. Yeah. I think it was due to the 4th round pick situation. I think we've covered all the people that we've signed. So, yeah. This next news story is probably this is the reason I saved this one for last, because it's just the funniest one. The Dolphins have signed quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is from Pro Football Rumors. The Dolphins have signed quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, according to Cameron Wolfe of ESPN. It's a 2-year deal worth up to $11 million. That could reach $17 to $20 million via incentives. We do not know the incentives. It could be like, hey, Ryan, if you throw 55 touchdowns, we're giving you $20 million. Is he going to ever reach it? Probably. Most likely not. Miami traded former... Yeah, we know. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick is now a Dolphin. When you look at Ryan's career stats, it's pretty bad. It's not very good. His best season was with the Jets in 2015. Maybe it was 2014. I could be getting those years mixed up. He went 35-12, I think, or 35-15. I can't remember. But somewhere, I know he threw for 35 touchdowns, but I have a lot to say about this. Mainly, the whole he is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Despite the reason his career stats are bad is not because of his touchdown production. It's because he throws so many interceptions, and a lot of them are just stupid picks. They're Blake Bortles level. Why did you do that? So yeah, it's better than having Blake Bortles and Geno Smith. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's a good bridge quarterback. He gives you a chance to win every Sunday if he doesn't make that one mental mistake. He can push the ball down the field. He's a gunslinger. I like the fact that we got a quarterback like him. At least it's way better than a Brock Osweiler who cannot push the ball down the field. It's Dink and Doug City. It's like I'm staring the flat down every single ding. Every read I make, it's from 1 to 7 yards. At least Ryan, his field vision is way better than a Brock Osweiler's. To compare him to someone, I think the best comparison is Matt Moore. He's basically Matt Moore. Seriously, he's a little bit more athletic. He probably has a stronger arm. So yeah, we're basically getting Matt Moore again, and you can win with the Matt Moore. You can. Will we? With this offensive line, no. We have one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League right now. Hopefully we get that, figured out in the draft, because that's the only way we are going to be able to, figure that out. In some way, we have to figure that out, especially if Tua is the guy that we're looking to. But let's say we figure out the offensive line, and people are like, "Oh, Teddy doesn't want to play for a team that's tanking," and we don't know of what we're going to do in the draft. This is a hypothetical. Say the Dolphins fix the offensive line in the draft. We draft right. We get a tackle. We get a guard. Not necessarily center, because I don't think it's as important as guards, in my opinion. Center is important. It doesn't matter. The point is we fix the offensive line, right? When you look at the skill position players, they're pretty dang good. The backfield with Kenyon Drake and Kalen Ballage. Kalen Ballage's first game really playing, he had 175 yards running against one of the best defenses in football, which was the Minnesota Vikings. Kenny Drake's a very good running back. Our backfield, in my opinion, is really, really, really talented. The receivers, you have Albert Wilson coming back, who had 155 yards receiving and was the sole reason we won against the Bears. Literally. Brock threw him 5-yard passes, and he took it all the way for like 85 yards. Twice in one game against the Bears defense. Albert Wilson, in my opinion, has potential to be a very, very good receiver. I know he's very small. There are small receivers right now in the National Football League that are like number ones. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Steve Smith in the past. That doesn't mean, my point is, that doesn't mean Albert Wilson cannot be one. And he showed flashes like, yeah, I can be a number one receiver. I mean, he had 2 very, very, very good games. He was looking real good. I mean, the reason we went 3-0, a lot of that could be attributed to him. I mean, so I'm very excited to see what Albert Wilson could do. Kenny Stills is still a very good deep threat. DP, I don't know what the heck he's going to be, so let's be optimistic about that. At least let's hope he can give us, 700, which he's done in the past, 700, 800 yards. I think that would be solid. Just solid to expect from him. And if all goes well to Albert, he gives us 1,000. I mean, that's a pretty good receiving core. The tight ends right now, Mike Gesicki, we still don't know what we have in him. Super talented though, and I'm excited to see what this coaching staff does with him. We have some good blocking tight ends. We have a very good backfield. Really, the only issue we have is that offensive line, and this could be a pretty good offense. It's not going to be bad. It's got a lot of talent on it. I mean, with the backfield, with some of the receiving options that we have, it's really good. It's not really, I wouldn't say it's great or really good. It's good. It's pretty good. So, but the offensive line, and that's all if the offensive line is fixed. Because as of right now, Ryan's going to throw for Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's who I'm talking about, he's going to throw for 90 picks because he's going to have 0 time back there if the offensive line stands as is, and we're not going to be able to run the football. I forgot about Jakeem Grant, too. I mean, we'll have a really athletic, fast offense that have talented players on it. So this offense is not bad. If Teddy made that decision because of the whole you got to look at the personnel, my guy. Granted, the offensive line pretty bad. It's real bad, but hopefully that can get fixed. I'm not saying this offense is I'm just saying it's not as bad as you would think on the offensive side of the football. Again, let's see here. 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen, both guards, the center, and the right tackle, need to be fixed. That's a big deal, and that's a lot of holes to fill. So that's a huge if. I think we have covered everything. There's so much that's happened that it blows my mind. Oh, we have one more news story, and then we're gonna get into the fan Q&A. Where we answer fans' questions. This is a very big news story. This is super big. This comes from 24/7 Sports. Miami Dolphins shift focus to Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa. I think I nailed it again. Who coincidentally wears number 13. This is a question I've posed to you guys after we read this news story. The Miami Dolphins might be showing their hand a little early. Okay, we'll skip that. That's just... I want to get to the nitty-gritty here. Sunday's signing of NFL veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick means the Dolphins are lining up to be in the mix for Alabama's quarterback Tua Tagovailoa in the 2020 draft, according to Adam Schefter of ESPN. Adam tweets, the Dolphins... Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to get to. According to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, the Dolphins owner Stephen Ross really likes Tua, and the franchise has labeled him, quote, a priority in next year's draft. That's a quote from someone in the franchise's source. This is huge news. Huge news. If that's, which I believe this, because this has been reported before, and every single time this was a thing, it was true. With Steven and Lamar Jackson, Steven, some other quarterbacks that I can't remember right now. Joe Philbin and Derek Carr, all of that stuff ended up being true. I have no reason to believe this isn't. So, if that's true, then we're going into the night, ladies and gentlemen. And depending on if we fix the offensive line, because if we do, I feel like the offense can be competitive. I'm not saying we're going to win and go to the playoffs. I'm definitely not saying that. But at least the team would be competitive. It wouldn't be like we're watching the Cardinals every week who just get slapped. So yeah. I don't think it'll be at that level of bad, or 0-16 Cleveland Brown, or 1-15 Pat White Dolphins. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But this poses the question. So this is the question I have for you guys right before we get into the fan Q&A. Tua, where's number 13? We have 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks that wear like super common quarterback numbers. Number 13, obviously Dan Marino, and number 12, Bob Greasy. So if Tua is a Dolphin, which God, if that happened, I'm gonna even though I have to wait, this entire year. Hey, it's not as bad if we get this offensive line fixed. I'm not mad at watching Ryan Fitzpatrick, throw downfield to some of those guys, because there's a lot of deep threats on this team, a lot of speed. And he has a good backfield to work with. And that's all if we fix the offensive line, because right now, it's looking bad. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, like I said, his ceiling is Matt Moore. It's not like we have Aaron Rodgers throwing the football back there. But my point is, it's not as bad as the 0-16 Browns and Cardinals, which isn't saying much, and the 1-15. But can I see? This is what happens. I get on these rambling. Like, what the heck? What did I even bring that up for? I don't even remember. My question is, what number does Tua take? You know what I mean? If he is indeed a Dolphin, and we might have to mortgage the entire, the entire future of this franchise to get him, but which is fine because I think he's going to be a great quarterback. But he's certainly better than all the quarterbacks in this draft. But what number does he wear? That's my question to you guys, and comment down below, because he can't wear 13 and he can't wear 12. So what number will he wear? Unless Dan's like, hey, dude, if you want to wear 13, but it is a retired number. I don't know. I don't know how all that works. But it's going to be interesting to see what number he would pick if he does become a Dolphin. And if you wore number 13, would people be okay with that? Probably not. I could not see that being a thing, but who knows? So let's get into the fan Q&A, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we answer fans' questions. You guys were hitting it up this week. I gave you guys a day to get the questions in. You laid on 43, which is awesome. This first question comes from, I hope we got all the news. I'm pretty sure we did. This first question comes from SM. He asks, Skaggs, what would you be willing to trade for Jacoby Brissett? I don't know, 5th, 6th round pick maybe. Probably as far as I go with that. I like Jacoby. He played great. He played good as a placeholder for New England. My whole thing, I know this was some of his first playing time in the National Football League, so there's obviously room of improvement here. But when he played against us, there was a clear drop-off from Jimmy G to him. I mean, if you guys watched that game, we almost came back because of Jacoby Brissett. But when you watch his Colts days, I mean, they were pretty solid. Great. I mean, he is a great deep ball thrower. And he's obviously really athletic. He's a lesser athletic Cam Newton. That's literally how I would describe him. This next question comes from Ron. He asks, did you know that you can sign players who have been cut that won't affect the comp pick formula, the compensatory pick formula, that have been cut? Did you know players that you can sign who have been cut won't affect that? I don't know. No, I didn't know that. And I'm not really familiar. I know how it works, but I didn't know that. No, I did not know that. This next question comes from SM. He says, Skaggs, give me a Dolphins trade down in the first round of the draft scenario. Give you a Dolphins trade in the first down of the draft scenario. Oh, that's tough. Because I wouldn't be surprised if, we stay at 13 and we get a really good player like Ed Oliver. I think Greedy Williams, regardless, I think he would be there. I don't think that's considered a drop. Montez Sweat, if we got him, I'd be pretty happy. I'd be very happy, actually. Ed Oliver, I would be really happy with. He reminds me, he reminds me a lot of like a Geno Atkins. He reminds me more of Geno Atkins than he does Aaron Donald, but they're similar players. Geno Atkins, Aaron Donald, not Ed Oliver. and Aaron Donald. So I feel like there is not a real trade down scenario in that situation, because I feel like unless, okay, here's your trade down scenario. Unless quarterbacks, there's not a run on quarterbacks where, talent bleeds because of it, and then we get someone really good. Kind of like what happened last year when we got Minka Fitzpatrick. If there wasn't all those runs of quarterbacks, he definitely would not have been there. I could see if people have been picked, there's not a run on quarterbacks, I could see us trading down in the first round with someone. Like in the maybe like 2019 range. I could see that happening. But I expect there to talent to come to us because of the run on quarterbacks. I feel like we're gonna get a super good player that was projected to go way higher because of some of the needy teams. Well, there's not that many though. Like the Giants, that's not, even if they took one, that still doesn't eliminate. Maybe it does. Maybe someone would fall. But the Broncos, I guess they're maybe in. Maybe they get Drew Lock. The Jaguars aren't going to take anyone. The Bengals, but they're right in front of us. So, yeah, I guess I could see some... Yeah, I guess I could still see somebody falling because of it. So, the only way I could see us trading down is if those guys are gone. And maybe we get, a Greedy Williams in 19 or 20. We trade down, all of the really top-end, the Ed Olivers, the Montez Sweats of the world, the Wilkins, the Farrell guy from Clemson are gone. I could see us trading down and maybe getting a really good DB like Greedy Williams. This next question comes from, and get closer here to the screen, Ortiz. He says, he asks, is Hunter Renfrow a late round draft choice we should look at, or Andy Isabella? Well, Andy Isabella is going high, and I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't make it out of the first round, and that's not even a joke. But he's definitely he's for sure a second round pick. But Hunter Renfrow, I could see that happening. Those two are very New England receivers. But it would be awesome if we got Andy Isabella in the second round, because he's going to be a really good player. And for our coaching staff to get a hands on a player like that would be awesome. And I would not be surprised if either one of those two were a Patriot. I would not be surprised if the last pick of the third round or the first round, Andy Isabella goes to the Patriots, because they were in the market for Adam Humphries and Cole Beasley, and he's a younger, more athletic version of those two. I would definitely look at Hunter Renfrow in the late round to answer your question, but I don't think the Dolphins have a chance to get Andy Isabella, because he's going to be a high value pick there. This question comes from Will. He says, do you think we're going to offer up draft compensation similar to what Houston did to get Deshaun Watson from Murray or even Haskins? No, that's been beaten out of me, the dream, especially after the Tua news story. If Stephen Ross really is, if he's, quote, a priority and Stephen has set his sights on him for 2020, there's not a chance that we're going to get Kyler. If Kyler, the only way that would happen, and this is not going to happen, is if Kyler somehow got out of the top 10 or close to coming out of the top 10. There's not a chance that's happening. So that's the only way I can see us trading up to get him. But not a chance we're going to trade up to get more. You would have to get rid of a future first rounder to trade up that high to get him. I don't think he's getting out of the top 5. And if he gets somewhere to 9 through 12 range, I could see us trading up a little leapfrog to get him. But I don't see Kyler Murray. Dwayne Haskins is definitely not on the board. I don't think the Dolphins are interested in him at all. But who knows? This could all be lies and smokescreens. But if I had to answer your question, Will, do I think we're going to offer draft compensation similar to what Houston? No, absolutely not. The only way I could see us like I said, trading up for him is if he got really close, which I don't see happening. This next question comes from J Rose. He says, how do you feel about the team's new direction after cleaning house? If we draft up, the trenches, that story, the Dolphins are going to, make over the trenches and get Tua in 2020. If that still happens in the draft, I think this team would be pretty good. Pretty good. What I mean by that is it's going to be a solid team. It's not going to be a 1-15 team. That's what unless Ryan Fitzpatrick is plays that bad, I think really what you're gonna get is somewhere between 6 and 7 wins next year. Because the defense isn't terrible, but see, that's a lot of holes to fill. What I'm saying is if you fix the offensive line, and you have to fix some of the defensive line too. Like we need a pass rusher, and we don't have one on the roster right now. So if none of that happens, which I don't know how it wouldn't, because you got to get someone in the draft. Then yeah, we're gonna be pretty bad next year, especially if the offensive line isn't fixed. We're gonna be very, very bad. If we played Sunday with the roster we have now, we would suck bad because our trenches are terrible. So, but I really can't tell you because I don't know. I don't know what direction we're taking. The draft is still happening, guys. We still don't know who we're after the draft. I can be like, okay, this is the level of how good this team is going to be. If you sat me in a room right now and were like, how good is this team right now? I would say it's going to be 4 to 3 wins, 4 to 3, 4 or 5 wins, because the offensive line is that bad, and so is the defensive line. So, as of right now, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't really tell you what direction you're going in, because if you have a Matt Moore level quarterback, your trenches are pretty solid. I could see 7 to 6 wins there, or 8 in that range. That's not a 1-15 football team. And just because that news story said we're going to go get Tua does not mean we're going to actively tank. 6 and 10 could get you in the top 10, and that's not a good season. That's still a bad season. 7 and 9 is still not I'm not looking forward to 7 and 9. I'm not looking forward to 8 and 8. I'm not looking forward to any of those records. Those records aren't very good. That means you win, you lose, you win, you lose. That's not a good feeling for any fan to go through. So that's not a good thing. And this team by no means will make the playoffs in 2019. And that is the goal, at least to be competitive. But to say that this team is on the level of those terrible teams of the past, especially like the Cardinals, no, it's not even close. Is it right now? I mean, yeah, it's like this team's between 4 and 5 wins right now, as of the roster is. But how do I feel about us cleaning house? I feel good about it. This next question comes from SM. The last question comes from J Rose. I don't think I said his name, but the last question came from J Rose. This next question comes from SM. He says, thoughts on bringing back Chad Henne to be our veteran bridge quarterback? I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I saw this question. I'm like, I went to Google. I searched Chad. I didn't see anything about Chad coming to the Dolphins. Are you saying would I want him? No, he's a terrible quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick is so much better than he is. And that's not saying much. That's not saying anything. That just is like how bad Chad is. This question comes from J Rose. He says, how many games do you think the Dolphins will win this year? I say max 5. As if the roster stands right now, yeah. I would say that too. Corporate Gamer said, I heard something about the Giants. This is his question. He asks, I heard something about the Giants view Daniel Jones as their number 1 quarterback of the draft. Why would they want a quarterback that is Ryan Tannehill 2.0? That whole thing makes no sense to me. How do people know? Daniel Jones is so much better as a passer than Tannehill was right now in his career. It's not even close. Tannehill also is a way better athlete than Daniel Jones was. They are way different players. I think it's because they're just both super vanilla. They don't do anything super special. They're not flashy in any way. I think that's the only reason people say that. And they wear the same number. But in terms of play style and ability, they're not even in the same look at their combine numbers. Look at how they played football. Look at how Daniel Jones was way better at passing down the field than Tannehill was in college. I still don't like Daniel Jones, though. I would not spend a first round. The more and more I think about it, I'm like, dude, there's not a chance I'm spending a first round pick on Daniel Jones. Especially if all I have to wait is till the next draft to get a legitimate franchise quarterback. Even if I miss out on Tua, there's still Jake Fromm and Justin Herbert. They're both better. All 3 of those players are way better than Daniel Jones. It's not even close. The next question comes from Matthew, and he says, our D-line and O-line is really bad. Do you think we will draft those positions instead of drafting a quarterback? I hope so, man. Because if we go into this is like, hey, we're going to try to get Tua in the next draft, whatever it takes, whatever we have to get, give up to get him, kind of like what the Eagles did and what the Rams did to get Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Just give them whatever they want. I just want this particular player. To go through the draft without selecting the meat and potatoes of the team, then Tua's not going to have a successful rookie season. Because if we go to the 2020 draft with the holes we have now on the offensive defensive line, good luck, dude. That's how you. I mean, that's not a good formula. That's not how you build a football team. So we'll see what we do. But yeah, I definitely think we need to go all line D-line in the draft now for sure. This next question comes from Corporate Gamer. He asks, rumor is we're interested in Quinn Spain. I think he's underrated and would fill a hole at the left guard position. Yeah, he's a pretty good player. Former Titan. I don't know if he's still out there or not, but that would be a solid signing. This next question comes from Corporate Gamer. He says, I think first round we should draft an guard. Second round we should get a defensive end. Third round a center. Fourth round a quarterback. Thoughts of a draft like this. Not a guard in the first round. There's no one there's not a Quentin Nelson and like I'm gonna take a guard 13th overall. There's a lot of really good D linemen, and that's why I would say no to that. And there's some good secondary guys too that I like Greedy Williams. One of the two will be there. This next question comes from Mill. He says, what do you think is more likely, trading for Rosen, signing Kaepernick, or trading up for either of the top two quarterback prospects? If I'm being honest with you right now, signing or trading for Rosen, I think would be more likely, and that hurts my soul. This next question comes from Ron. He said, what is the likelihood of the Finns actually re-signing Tunsil and Howard? I would say pretty good. This next question comes from Chuck. He asks, I'm out here in Arizona, and the word out here is the Dolphins are going to get Rosen. I don't think that happens, but wouldn't mind it. Thoughts? The only rumors I've had of people getting Rosen is the Giants. That's all I've heard in the rumor mill. In terms of reading stuff, it's like I'm an insider or something. Like, no, just from reading stuff, it seems like the Giants are super interested. I haven't read anything on the Dolphins being interested. Will, this next one comes from Will. He asks, what do you think? I don't know why my brain shut off. He says, why do you think we keep signing tight ends? Is Smythe really that bad at blocking too, or are they trying to get him and Gesicki more hands-on help with blocking techniques? You would think they're both roster locks considering their potential in draft stats. I would agree with that too. I don't know. I don't know what this means, to be honest with you. I couldn't tell you. I think it's just competition. Ron asks, the Bills have done the most so far to help themselves. I think they will be tough to win against this year. What do you think of their moves, Gax? They're always dude, we've been smacked by the Bills for the last 5-7 years. Ever since Tannehill's been our quarterback, we have not played well against the Bills, especially on the road. And those teams sucked. So what have the Bills done? I'm trying to think. What have the Bills done? I don't know what the Bills have done. I forget. I know they've made some moves. The Jets have made more moves than the Bills. That would be. I mean, Le'Veon Bell. Jamison Crowder. The Bills. I'm drawing a blank here. I would have to look that up after the show. I can't. I know that they've made moves. I just can't remember. This next question comes from Ride Sharing 101. He asks, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Devante Parker. We are taking thoughts. I couldn't tell you about the DP thing, but the Ryan Fitzpatrick thing, I mean, he was the best possible scenario at that point. And signing him, I really don't think the Dolphins would trade for Josh Rosen. I don't know. That doesn't necessarily mean they wouldn't, but I just couldn't see that happening. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's Matt Moore 2.0, literally. His ceiling, everything. He's just gonna be another Matt Moore, which isn't a bad thing. Matt Moore won 6 games in a row for us. Ryan has had a lot of successful stints in a season. Like they won those 6 games in a row when he was with Buffalo. He's had some Fitz magic, obviously, this season with the Jets when they went 10-6 with him started as the starting quarterback. then, most recently with the Buccaneers, he had some really, really, really good games where he had multiple games where he threw for 4 touchdowns. He was the MVP of the league the first 4 games or 3 games of the season. So he's had good stints. He hasn't been consistent. That's why I say he's Matt Moore. He reminds me a lot of Matt Moore. This next question comes from Jay Rose. Is Gesicki that bad? We have to keep signing tight ends. I don't know what that means, Jay Rose. I couldn't tell you. I think it most likely probably means they're not super confident in it, but I think Mike is still super talented. I mean, he is super talented. We'll see what they can do with him. This next question comes from Ron. He says, offensive line and defensive line are spots beyond depleted, yet still no signings to even add bodies. But if you read Twitter and Facebook, fans are somehow super excited watching the same offseason for the past 35 years. When do they add to these spots? It's definitely not the same offseason. This is completely different than the last, since Stephen Ross has been our owner, it's completely different than those off seasons. We haven't overspent on old veterans, players that aren't worth the money, that don't affect the football field to give these players this much money, like the Sue signing, one of the worst signings of probably ever, to give him that much money. All those, this is completely different off season. So I think you're wrong in saying that, but I get why you're saying that. You're talking about, not signing offensive linemen, not investing in the lines. And I went 35 years. That's a big span. I don't know about 35 years, but because back in the day, I don't even want to get into it. Back in the day, we were super stingy. When we didn't need to be, or when we needed to be, because we had Dan Marino. I mean, hey, let's go win. If you have a quarterback, you should spend a ton in free agency. Yeah, but I get what you're saying with the whole guard stuff and stuff like that. And we need defensive linemen and offensive linemen really bad. And those are the 2 most important positions on the field other than the quarterback. This next question comes from Listen Without Warning. He asks, in your opinion, what is our next quarterback move? Well, the whole Ryan Fitzpatrick thing. Beyond that, I guess Tua would be my best guess. Jay Rose asks, who would you start between the quarterbacks on the roster right now? I think you asked this before, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Who knows? But as of right now, I would start Ryan Fitzpatrick. But if it was just like Luke Falk and Jake Rudock, I would start Luke Falk. This next question comes to Ron. He says, the signing of Fitzpatrick to quarterback cancels the Wake comp pick and has a chance to cancel the James comp pick depending on how he plays. Tell me again how this is good. I don't know if that's completely true. I would have to go back and look at it. I don't know if it cancels 2, but I think it does cancel 1. I'm not sure about that, though. You could be right, Ron. You could be totally right. I don't know for a fact, though. This next question comes from Corporate Gamer. He asks, should we try Jesse Davis at right tackle? And I heard we are projected to have over $100 million in cap space in 2020. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess at this point that would be a good idea. And I don't think it's that much. I could be wrong. Matthew says, when you heard the Tannehill's news, what did you think of it? I was happy about it. Like I said, it was a good step in the right direction. But it did hit me in the feels a little bit when he tweeted the whole fan stuff, and it's just all the memories really. It was just a lot of nostalgia and just cool moments that even though it wasn't successful at all. There was some good moments, and we were always in the playoff race more than we weren't with Tannehill, and that's not even a joke. If you look at our records in November, over the and even early December, we were in the thick of it. We just couldn't close out. We were terrible in December. This next question comes from Beaky Boke Boy. He says, are you doing a 2K 2,000 subscriber celebration? No. I mean, I don't even know. What the heck would I do? I mean, it's awesome. It's so cool, but nah, I don't have anything like that planned. Corbett Gamer says, why can't we just start Luke Falk quarterback to see if he can do anything? He probably can't do anything. I mean, if you watch this preseason, it's not, The sixth question goes from Will. He says, what do you think the strength of this team as of now? Looks like they're committing to running the rock this year. Yeah, well, we don't have the offensive. We would get blown off the ball if that was the case. I don't know what the heck. If the offensive line is fixed, the offense is going to be okay. It's not going to be bad. It's going to be good. So it's just depending on, how many holes can you fill in the draft, and are you willing to do it? That is the end, ladies and gentlemen, of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. I can't wait to discuss this next week. I'm sure it's going to be crazy. I don't think it'll be as crazy as this week, but hopefully I covered everything. And that is going to be it, guys. I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Thank you for 2,000 subscribers, and I am Skags83, and I will see you guys in the next one.